Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 261. Let's see who shows up. All right. Man, it's been so long since we drafted Karma. I think it's probably a pretty reasonable take. This is an interesting set though. What we see with Draven is they've added a bunch of, or I should say with Scrapheap Draven, is they added all the Reforge cards into this that aren't Riven. So the now buffed one drop one is in here, the Rune Forger, which is of course unbuffed, and then Weapon Hilt. But then the big thing with this strategy is that Blade of the Exile now costs 1 mana instead of 3. It's a big update in the 2.1 change, and so it makes Draven a little bit more interesting. I do really like the idea of having Reforges to get these blade fragments to either do whatever we want in combat, giving Draven a +2 attack or an overwhelm, or giving one of our challenger units quick attack. Lots of cool things that we can do with these, or we just discard them to spinning axe. If you're not familiar with what the scrap heap strategy is, it's a Draven Jinx pool where the idea is we're going to get some kind of value out of discarding cards. And so you're typically supposed to be, say either discarding a card like Vision to Spinning Axe, or generating Spinning Axes and then discarding them to something like Get Excited. So the reforges play pretty well to that end, and so I think I've probably kind of convinced myself to come over here and take this. This is about as reasonable as Karmas ever get. Starting out with the 2 1-drops in Karma, the big thing with Total Recall is it has a Green Clay Duo in it, and you can turn this into a pretty powerful elusive deck. You'll never go out and draft multiple Karmas. You're really going to try to take this and pick up a Zed or a Yasuo and try to be a big time elusives deck. But that's kind of my problem with this Karma. We would ideally be pretty happy to take this second, but taking it first, we have to basically spike an Ionia champion in the second pack, or there's a pretty good chance this is going to fall flat. And so, not excited about that one. And then Suit Up Fiora is pretty good. This is the one pairs up with Sejuani. If we're doing Fiora builder rounds, I really prefer to be in Shield Wall. The idea there is that Riposte doesn't live in Suit Up, and so if we're really going to sit around and focus heavily on Prismatic Barrier, Riposte, and the 3/2 unit that gives barrier to something, we're going to be hamstringing ourselves from the start since this pool doesn't have Riposte in it. But nonetheless, I think I'm cool with starting with this Draven. I've kind of like dabbled with this strategy a few times. I haven't had too much success with it, but I think we have a pretty good idea of what we want to do with this now. So let me take a moment. We'll get it pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my expedition-related content. Typically people come here for the tier list. The tier list in all of its forms is up to date, whether or not it's the text version that you can control F and find your specific champion, the image version, which is kind of the easiest to take in at a quick glance, or if you want to listen to all my thoughts and feelings about how the tier list was put together, I do have the video version up on YouTube. But today we'll be over in the Expedition Helper section. This is completely updated for the 2.1 patch, and all we're going to do is go down to the little drop-down box, scroll down to Draven, click on the scrap heap, and this will tell us all of the cards that live in this card pool. And so yeah, kind of the big thing, we did touch on this already, but the big strategy here was we have the Blade Squire, the Rune Weaver, and then the best 3-drop that Noxus has in Iron Ballista. So we have this like super powerful set of 1, 2, and 3s. This pool also has just a big pile of 1-drops in general, also having Draven's Biggest Fan, Legion Rearguard, and Legion Saboteur. And so it's really able to stay low to the ground and completely aggressive. It just has all of the good early game aggressive units here with it. And then, ideally, we're able to do, give Legion Rearguard quick attack. We're able to, give Draven +2 attack or overwhelm, or, eventually, we should be able to find good targets for each of the Reforges. And then if not, we can hopefully just discard them to spinning axes. So pretty powerful little card pool here. It doesn't have a whole lot of like really good top end in the common space. It has a lot of really good top end in the rare and epic. Captain Fair and Kato the Arm, just incredibly powerful epics. Savage Reckoner is a good game closer if you're not able to find a Captain Farron or Kato the Arm. And then this does tend to just be a go wide strategy. What we mean by that is a going tall strategy where we're going to really focus on one unit. So if we were going to play that Fiora strategy where, we're planning on playing spells on Fiora over and over again, maybe we'll even play a redoubled Valor on her, maybe we'll play a standalone on her. We're really trying to focus on one unit. We'd call that going tall. This Draven deck tends to be a go wide strategy where we're going to try to get the most value out of having 6 units on the board. And so that's where we'll also maybe get some value out of something like Crowd Favorite. We can get value out of something like Decisive Maneuvers. Just a lot of good synergies, a lot of good combos in here. And so I don't typically try to focus on this actual discard strategy. Like we mentioned, kind of the idea here is you'll generate a Spinning Axe with Draven, and then you'll come out here and discard Vision to it. And so it's not like you're really losing a card to that discard. And so you're trying to get some value out of those kind of things. You used to just kind of take advantage of it with puff caps. These cards like Vision or things in P&Z like Flame Chompers just don't really give you enough value. But as it stands now, we really just want to be generating Reforges or generating puff caps and using those as a means to discard cards. So all in all, pretty powerful strategy. Let's take this Draven, see who shows up to the party with him. Okay. Not the most exciting set of champions. I'm probably going to end up taking this Vladimir. We'll come back and touch on that. The problems I have with these other 2 card pools, with this Heimerdinger, he tends to be a very spell-centric champion. If you're familiar with the tier list, I talk about trying to pair off either spell-centric champions or combat-centric champions. And so it's very, very clear to see that Draven wants to be in combat. He's this efficiently costed quick attack unit. He generates spells that assist you in combat, whereas this Heimerdinger wants you just to sit around and cast a bunch of spells. And so they aren't really looking to like synergize with the same kind of cards, right? The Heimerdinger doesn't really synergize with Weapon Hilt. Draven doesn't really synergize with Unlicensed Innovation. So I don't really want to combine this combat-centric champion with this spell-centric champion. Now, the thing that stands here is Vladimir and Garen are both combat-centric champions. Our problem with Garen is this is just going to push us into elites. All of the elites live in Demacia, and so if we're really going to try to get value out of the elite cards, that being something like Reinforcements that gives a bonus to all of your elites, something like Battlesmith that gives a bonus to all of your elites, or Vanguard Bannerman is who I recommend building around, which is the Demacia Allegiance card. And so, these 2 strategies just aren't really going to mesh together quite well. Just not a lot going on between one card pool that works with the other one. And so what I think we should be able to pull off with this Vladimir, we'll have to pull up the card pool just to make sure, but this does tend to have a lot of the really good 2-drops in it. And so there'll be the big one I'm kind of interested in is the 3/2 for 2 that last breath to deal damage to your opponent. There's also things like the Imperial Demolitionist, where you deal damage to one of your own units to do a 2 to your opponent, and just this this kind of self-damage strategy tends to have a whole lot of value right in the 2-drop slot. And so kind of ideally, we should be able to get a big pile of 1-drops out of the Draven pool, a big pile of 2-drops out of the Battle Scars pool, then stack 3 Dravens along with maybe, a Overwhelmed Chariot or whatever the 4/3 thing's called, and then just be in a pretty good spot to pick up, 2 or 3 expensive cards like Armored Tusk Raider. And so I think these will play out pretty well. Let's go ahead and pull up Vladimir on his own. We can talk about him a little bit. Kind of the idea with this Vladimir pool is this pairs up with Braum. You're supposed to be getting some kind of value out of dealing damage to your own units. What you tend to see with the Vladimir side is you're trying to use Crimson Curator to just generate a whole bunch of value. In my opinion, this is just kind of way too slow to deal with. If we pick up 1 or 2 and have some activators, then fine. But sitting around, building around the Crimson Curator, this hasn't been a good strategy since just the foundation set. It's just too easy to do strategies that are more powerful. If you're going to try to just have a value generation engine, you can just play Aphelios and not have to deal with having multiple cards. You can just play Invokes. It's just so many better cards coming out of Invokes than generating Crimsons. And so it's not a strategy we really want to be our base strategy, our core build around. It's something that's like, well, if we pick up 1, whatever, we can maybe get some value out of our Crimson Aristocrat or Imperial Demolitionist. Crimson Disciple can't deal damage, but this is another one of these 2-drops that I was kind of talking about. And so I think this is what we'll be looking for, right? The Aristocrat, the Demolitionist, and then the Crimson Disciple, very good 2-drops. There's some good combat tricks here in Transfusion. There's a good removal spell in Nox and Fervor. Again, another set of very good epics and things like Errol, which is one I think is one of the most powerful epics in the game. And then, Bloodseeker, Basilisk Bloodseeker, very good at closing out games. And so this will get us into, a very powerful set of epics, and then a lot of really good low to the ground units. And so I think hopefully, we'll be able to just not draft any expensive cards. Maybe we'll hopefully have some epics fall into our lap, and then really just be able to focus on kind of the early game. Okay, what can we do here? I'm curious how much we'd ever be able to take advantage of Trifarian Assessor. As it stands, we've got 2 units that can get a bonus, and then, it's kind of easy with these decks to maybe play, say, a weapon hilt on something and have a 5 attack unit left over, or play a +2 fragment onto Draven and have a 5 attack unit left over. I kind of think we could probably pull that off. I'm not really interested in Legion Rearguard or Weapon Hilt, but the thing that kind of worries me is if we don't see these Scrapheap packs showing up in the future, because the big thing that we're really focusing on finding are the early game Reforges, and so hopefully the Scrapheap pack will continue to show up. But I think the power we're looking for is in the Demolitionist and the Assessor. Okay, all right, not a very exciting set of cards. We don't want anything to do with Battle Scars. I would be cool with like Nox and Might pack showing up. This is where we would find the Allegiance unit. He only lives in this pool, like the Basilisk Rider, I believe he's called. So hopefully Nox and Might will continue to show up, but the removal spells are very lacking in this kind of pool. Draven's side doesn't have any. There's only Noxus Blast, the 3-mana spell out of the Vladimir side, and so I think we have to kind of take the Calling Strikes when we can, and then Armored Tusk Raider is a reasonable top end here. I don't really want a lot of these, but he's pretty decent. Okay, so I'm kind of wanting to go for the Scrapheap here, although these Trifarian Hopefuls should be pretty good in our deck. We intend on having a big pile of 1-drops. We're not going to have a big pile of them if we keep passing on them, but we should have a pretty easy time getting these leveled up on turn 2. And then they should also be good with our Reforges. Whether or not we're giving it Overwhelm or Quick Attack, we should be able to get some good value out of this thing. And so these are 2, 5 attack units to play with the Assessor, which I think will be okay. Kind of interested in Vision and then just another 1-drop, but I think this is going to be like the last pack where I'm kind of letting myself get away from 1-drops. And so it's kind of going to be kind of painful. We're really going to try to find about like 7 of them, and we're currently at 1, and so see how that plays out. So with here, we've got another one of these 5 attack matters units with a Reckoning, the 5 attack matters spell. I think this will be a pretty reasonable take for us. We are passing on a Whirling Death, but we're getting a removal spell in the Reckoning. Okay, alrighty. Well, here's a Rune Weaver. Pretty excited to pick this up. We don't need to go like super all in on these expensive cards. I would be okay with 1 more Assessor. It's kind of one of these cards to where drawing 2 is bad, but drawing 0 kind of sucks, and so you would almost rather draw 2 than 0. So I tend to lean towards playing 2 as opposed to playing 1. But it's something at this stage I'm pretty okay with just having 1 copy of, especially since we don't need any more expensive units at this stage. But overall, I'm pretty interested in Rune Weaver. Just would love to have some of these early game plays continue to show up. Good, we got another one. We're going to take a Blade Squire either way. These cards down here just aren't good enough. Blade's Edge is pretty horrible. Sharpened Resolve is passable, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to find. And we're able to pick up a Nox and Guillotine over here, just one of the premier removal spells out of Noxus. Oh man, and this one's quite the real decision. I think we're okay to pass on Basilisk Bloodseeker. It's tough. This is an extremely powerful unit, but the way I tend to look at a lot of these cards is like, how much better is it than Armored Tusk Raider? Not a whole lot better. And so I think if our top end was just like Vladimir, I would go out of my way to take this. But these are both like super top-notch units in the Blade Squire and the Ballista, and that's who I want to be taking here. Okay. So here, this is an odd set to see it like this. This is like completely our utility package, and I'd love to just pick this up. We should have no troubles going wide, really taking advantage of this crowd favorite, and then Decisive Maneuver is my preferred late game closer. It's very easy for us to be wider than our opponent. It's very easy for us to stun a unit that has come down and blocked an Armored Tusk Raider. It kind of, if you have a ton of mana and it's really late game, it can also combo with something like Trifarian Assessor. Just a lot of cool things that we can do with this Decisive Maneuver. Sucks to pass on a Rune Weaver Death's Hand, but I really want to pick up this utility here. Okay, and a survival skills with Savage Reckoner, perfect. This is going to be the end of the late game, right? We don't want to take any more expensive cards after this. We're pretty well set at this point. But survival skills is something that plays so fantastically with a Draven. Just being able to discard this to a spinning axe and then protect any of your units, pretty huge deal. Also, if you're, with our kind of go wide strategy, if we just play this, it's pretty tough, for our opponent to recover from us just going full murder mode onto their board. And so it's a pretty powerful set of cards here. Okay, interesting set. I'm probably just going to take the Glory Seeker Assessor. It's going to get us to our 2 Assessors. The Glory Seeker plays extremely well with the Reforges if we're able to spike a quick attack. But on the other side of the coin here, we do have this incredibly powerful 2 and 3 drop in the Grenadier and the Ballista, and then our late game is looking pretty good at this point. I don't feel like we need 2 Assessors. We kind of have 3 of these expensive 5 drop between Decisive Maneuvers, Survival Skills, and Vladimir, and so I don't think it adds a whole lot to our deck here. So I think I'm just going to focus more on these high quality 2 and 3 drop units. Okay, interesting. It's blood for blood. I thought that was a transfusion, which would have made this a lot more interesting. And so it's like, do we want to pick up the Reforge with the second Guillotine? We're going to trade away this Guillotine given the opportunity because I don't want 2 of these. Or do we just want the 1 and the 2 drop unit? I think the Rune Reaver is just too good to pass up here. It sucks that we're only at 3 1-drops. I would really prefer to be, closer to 7. This isn't like a Battle Scars deck where I try to get 10, but I would rather be closer to 10 than 0. So we're a little closer to 0 right now, right? We only have 3 1-drops. So maybe we could take these, but it's too important to have these Reforges. Okay, and then our last one before the trade picks, we can ignore these, right? We've kind of decided that we're not super interested in picking up 2 Assessors. Intimidating Roar, we've already covered off on this kind of effect. Scorched Earths are not super exciting here. We already have 2 Nox and Guillotines, but we're going to be getting 1 either way. So, just comes down to we want to take a Nox and Fervor or a Demolitionist. And it's close. Like, we don't have any of this kind of direct damage effect. We do have a Might to kind of help us close out games, but all of our big boys already have Overwhelm. Right, Crowd Favorite does. Both of the Armored Elephants do. Savage Reckoner does. So it's not, like, super important. I think we just want to pick up the unit here. This is, markedly worse than it used to be, though, right? when Blade Squire was a 1/2, then we kind of always had this 1-drop that we could target with it, but now this is going to kill all the 1-drops in our deck. But, it's going to kind of function as something similar to Nox and Fervor, in that it can just kind of close out the late game and go face. All right, this isn't really the upgrade I'm looking for here, but I think it's the one we're going to take. I'm not willing to trade out survival skills. I don't want to trade out an aristocrat. I do want to hang on to our 1 Assessor, and I am looking to get rid of both Scorched Earth and 1 of the Nox and Guillotines. I would rather these be like Whirling Deaths or be Calling Strikes. I don't like to really stack up on this this removal that requires a bit of work. So, Weapon Hilt it is. Okay, and then if you're not familiar with what we do here, we do have to go and make one of our cards premium. I'm trying to think who's even left here. I know the Blade Squire is leveled up, the Grenadier, the Rune Weaver are leveled up, Iron Ballista is leveled up. I don't think any of these down here are common. We haven't got to that stage of my life yet where we have to start leveling up rares. And so we'll have to take a peek who's this left. Draven's Biggest Fan and Demolitionist, and the Hopeful. Let's go level up the Hopeful. I think he's going to be the one that brings the most hate onto our opponents. If he comes down on 2 and it goes unblocked, you almost always just straight up win those games. So, welcome to the club, buddy. You're gonna come down as part of the premium package and really stick it to our opponents here. All right, yeah, this came together reasonably. I'm not happy with our amount of 1-drops, but outside of that, I'm pretty happy with everything else. We've picked up a good number of Reforges, picked up incredible top end. All of our kind of units are pretty high quality. We didn't pick up any just like straight up unplayable cards. So not a bad start. Not a bad start. Then kind of one of the ideals I've had in the back of my mind. I didn't mention it, but do something like this, or do we just want to like hard mulligan for a 1-drop? I think that's okay. We should pretty reasonably kick into like another 2 by the second turn, given the cards that we have. But no, that's kind of like Draven's biggest fan is who I wanted to talk about, and this kind of lets me showcase it. But, you know, if we end up in this kind of deck that, say, has like 3 Draven's biggest fans in it, and then we just like don't draft any more Dravens, we go out of our way to find, oh, how sick. Sick. Just gonna get this hit in, or he just has to take the value hit. But no, like if we want to say draft 2 Rivens in place of Draven, yeah, we can do that if we have a big stack of Draven's biggest fans. So it's something to consider. We are primed and ready to just overrun this guy. He's sitting around spending the ballistic bot tax is not quite what you're looking to do here. Okay. Lion Diana Victor. Okay, then we are in a pretty good spot here to, you know, play Blade Squire, discard Spinning Axe to something, or play Spinning Axe, and then Survival Skill something, and then we can still play Might. This should be a pretty big turn for us.
Must we fight?
Given how I won, we want that to be Draven's biggest fan.
Now we're cooking.
We want to play our survival skills over here on our 5/2. Do we ever want to Might here? I don't think so. We can probably just save that up.
Sisters.
Right, not a bad spot to be in. Hopefully this isn't going to be a lifesteal victor. Regenerate, okay.
Another brilliant design.
Alright, so we can't play any of these. We're just going to be all in on the damage next turn.
Materials, no improvements.
Gary, you got it. But the thing that's kind of scary here is we would have to run out these weapon hilts before. Well, I guess we technically don't have to. We're going to be representing lethal before he comes in and blocks. Okay. Right, well, we can stack up a whole ton of damage on our Trifarian Hopeful. I don't think we want to be playing a Tusk Rider here. So we can like double Weapon Hilt and then also play the Reforges if we want. Like we have the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. We kind of want to spread it out a little bit. I don't want to just stack everything onto Trifarian Hopeful and have it get blown out by Unspeakable Horror. So let's do this. Let's level you up. Let's level up Draven. We're all in at this point. Overwhelm our Draven. We're gonna quick attack this guy. Then
Finally, some action.
hopefully be able to Might something and close this out. This is such a bad spot if he has a removal spell, so. He can recover. He's going to be kind of short of. Oh, okay. That doesn't do anything. All right. Yeah, so that doesn't do anything. Then I was like, oh no, he's going to Nightfall the Unspeakable Horror. But that's not what happened.
And maybe those other guys. Whatever.
Let's see. That's a pretty good looking Draven with a 1-drop Iron Ballista. Just kind of everything we're looking for here in a 1-drop and a great early game unit. Gets our 3rd Ballista, right? We should be pretty good on these from this point forward. It's just so much you can do with this, especially with the Reforges. Like giving a quick attack once is so huge, or just hitting with a 6 damage Overwhelm chunk. It's just so much you can do with him. And we weren't offered up any Rivens. We don't need Darius here. We if we already have the two elephants and the reckoner, our late game's looking pretty good. The interesting with Darius would have been is if he had Basilisk Riders. That would have been the big one we were looking for. Okay, so Misfortune can be a little scary given the makeup of our deck, but here let's hang on to our good 2-drop. We'll see if we can find a 1, which we did not. It's not the end of the world. We kind of know that we're not gonna hit them all the time when we only have 4 1-drops. But we do have to worry about the things that worry me with this are, you know, 1 health, 1 health. He has Misfortune, which can just, you know, help challenge down our 1 health units. Twisted Fate that can come AoE all of our units. He plays something like a. Okay, so he probably doesn't have a Misfortune in his hand. Oh boy, maybe he does. But, you know, then they also have things like Make It Rain. It's just a lot of cards that very good against us.
Looking for trouble.
Yep.
It found you.
Okay.
Ring the fucking bell!
Ring the fucking bell. Oh, and he doesn't attack with Misfortune? Okay, that was greedy. I guess he wanted to protect her from Whirling Death or something. Okay. Probably need to stop here. We could technically try to quick attack something, but I don't think that's necessary.
You're in for a whooping!
Okay, nice. Glad to see this thing go away. Probably want to draw Draven next turn, so we'll get the biggest fan down.
Time for violence. Love ya.
Okay, we should have a pretty strong open attack next turn. He's not going to want to play, or not going to want to block with Misfortune.
Don't ask where it's from, ask how much. My selection speaks for itself.
Okay. And we're 1 mana short of or giving, you know, Draven a weapon hilt and then playing the Reckoning. That's probably something we're going to have to look into for next turn. I think all we're going to pull off on this one is we're going to give this a quick attack.
This is awesome.
Probably just going to block with his merchants, but I mean, that's still very good for us.
Add this to your bill.
I think we're really going to get him with the Reckoning, though. We don't have any more plays here other than perhaps wanting to play a Weapon Hilt, but I think next turn with a bursted Weapon Hilt onto Draven into the Reckoning, and I'm going to close this game out. Is he stunning? We just stunning our Draven? Okay, seems good for us. I'm super excited to see him play his attack boosting card. Well, I guess that was out of our deck, but I'm excited to see that attack boosting card go away right before we're about to play the Reckoning. If we can't find a good spot for it, I'm kind of imagining this turn where he plays a he plays like a big scout unit, like that 5-cost scout unit or something, and then we get to respond with the Weapon Hilt Reckoning.
Hey, TF. How's How's the partner?
Pretty good. Quit smoking.
Okay. So this will protect the gold card target. Okay. Then this board is no longer scary. So I'm just going to pass and see what this guy does. See if he tries to follow up with more units that we can reckoning.
Cover me, crack shot.
Yeah, this is probably the extent of what we're going to get. Lose our Draven speaking. Oh, hang on, we got. I'm glad we checked the eye first. Okay. There's a chance he could have played more units behind us, but I think it's a little greedy to go much further than what we did. Oh, what an incredible set of cards for him to draw out of our deck. He drew two. Is that the only? Well, I guess we also had weapon hilts, but this is gonna kill his Twisted Fate. Oh, he's stunned. Okay. I was like, oh, I don't know about that one, boss. Okay. So, I mean, do we want to just build up to Riven Sword? Probably going to need to. He's already played his Twisted Fate, so he shouldn't have any more stuns. I think we can just go all in on our Draven here. The Overwhelm and the Quick Attack onto our other unit, and we'll give Draven a big sword. Let's see how successful this is. If he has a scrap shot or something, then we just lose. But we definitely have to be all in at this point when he has 6 cards in hand to our Blade Squire. Okay. Oh no, we're gonna be one short, aren't we? Oh, wow. Okay. What a set of cards for someone to pick up out of our deck. He couldn't be picking up Legion Saboteurs or Crowd Favorites or shit. He has to... Okay. That's what it is. That's what the RNG's part of life. So let's see. And I'd love to get rid of this Crowd Favorite, but the Wrathful Rider is not a unit we're really interested in picking up. Could do Brutal Hunter. I imagine that we are going to be more of a go-wide strategy than it seems like we were, and I kind of like having the additional interactive element here, so I think this is okay to pick up. Yeah, we thought we dodged a bullet with his decisive maneuvers, which we kind of did. Then picks up the Might to protect himself from the Reckoning, and then picks up the Nox and Guillotine. That's certainly a way to do it. Alright, let's just look for an all-around better set of cards. Picked up a 1-drop, good. So we did pick up 2 late-game cards, which is kind of brutal. Hopefully we could pick up just like 1 more unit by the 3rd turn. Be okay. Yeah, I got the combo. Blade Squire Demolitionist combo. Alright. So 20 Gangplank. Here comes the Make It Rain. Okay.
The trap is set.
These hands know metal and magic.
technically just Riven Sword him next turn. Not what we're gonna do. I really worry about playing 1 health units into these style of decks, but
I'll craft a weapon as savage as your spirit.
okay.
I'll show the hunt.
No escape.
I would assume if he had a Brittle Steel, he would have played another unit. We're just gonna do this anyways. Okay, getting a Harsh Winds out of it is fine. We're trading our 1 card for his 1 card, but he spent 6 mana and we spent 4. And that's pretty decent for us. But I was going to say, if he had the Brittle Steel, he would have just played another unit, right? Because he wouldn't have been worried about whatever our unit was going to hook. Monkey Idol.
The party
Okay.
has arrived.
And what do we think about just going all into Riven Sword next turn? We could do it, right? If we make a block with Blade Squire on something and then spend all of our units onto Draven. I think I'm okay with this. Right, he shouldn't have a lot of Frostbites. Just playing Sejuani.
You hoping they'll die of boredom?
Okay.
War Mason, reporting for duty.
Then the other big thing this kind of gives us is having 2/3 attack units for next turn. We assume he's going to attack with the Yeti. We're going to block it with the Trapper.
I've got the
This is okay.
cargo.
Okay. Overwhelm. Quick attack. +2 damage. Goes to Draven. Sword goes to Draven. Now we're ready to attack. Yeah, even got a little Mystic Shot protection here in our survival skills, so
A masterwork of destruction. Pain is nothing.
yep.
Desjardins.
Okay. He at least hangs on to his big sword so he can try to do things next turn, but ugh. He's playing 1. He's got 1 Sejuani to come down at the perfect time. Okay, we can still be reasonable. I mean, he doesn't have his vulnerable thing anymore. We can take down Sejuani with a Draven if we want. We can Spinning Axe survival skills are Draven. We have a play with decisive maneuvers, but I think I want to save that for next turn. So I think we're going to do something like this. This. We're fine here.
Ends here.
Discard survival skills. Our biggest attack is Draven, so he's going to be protected here. So even if this goes wrong in some way, we're not going to lose our big boy. Auto 12. Okay. Oh, beautiful. That was very good for us.
I refuse.
Vladimir kind of sucks here. We could, weapon hilt something to see if we can't hit the Overwhelm one. But I think we just want to play our Iron Ballista. Such a bad spot for this Vladimir. Maybe it's not a deck where we have to open next turn, right? We can't just dirtle around with this Vladimir. Ugh.
Yeah, you don't want to cross me.
So let's see how this blunder can go wrong this time. I bet he picked up Nox and Guillotine. That's it. That's 100% Nox and Guillotine. Oh boy. Oh boy. Attack. That's a very strong hit.
Axes coming right up.
100% gonna lose our Draven here. Yep. It's fucking absurd. Okay. How else can we get out of this? We still have some big overwhelms that we could try to pull off here. Get our Vladimir down. Oh, beautiful.
I'd never keep my guests waiting.
And then the other big thing we have is we do still have this overwhelmed Iron Ballista that can get in for 6 damage next turn. And so really need this drain effect from Vladimir.
That will have to do for now.
Whew, okay.
I stand for Noxus!
Get him to flip, but yeah, we have to hit one of these overwhelm cards. Knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Oh, what an absurd set of games. Okay. This is, of course, if you're new to this is back to being fearsome. It's not a elusive turret as it used to be, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago. Okay, okay. We got our outs.
I'm through waiting.
What? This is interesting. What is the likelihood that he just has a burn spell, right? So it would have to be like a Mystic Shot, get excited, Aftershock. I don't think the combat tricks ever get him out of this. We don't care about this thing, right? We're going to be in on our overwhelms, or we're just going to lose. So let's try to take down the most health that we can. So we'll just get in a block down here. Maybe this will also help convince him to play a Frostbite. But right, the idea, and why would we just not block there? That wasn't a lethal attack, so we could pass, and he couldn't play any more cards, right? So if his idea was to say, he's not playing Demacia, but if his idea was like, okay, dude's gonna block, and then I'm gonna back-to-back my other 2 units, he wouldn't be able to do that. And so a lot of times it's very safe to just let that attack come through. Just not the case here against P and Z base Heimerdinger when they have access to a lot of burn spells.
Neither the flames nor the depths could claim me.
Okay, and how do we want to line up this Vladimir? We can definitely make him flip. We might as well go ahead and do it, right? So if he wants to block Vladimir with his Gangplank, we at least win the combat, because he'll be a 6/6. Then the other thing we can be doing here, we can hook Powder Keg with an Iron Ballista. Oh god, he's going to Aftershock us with the Powder Keg. Okay.
Everyone pays.
No, okay. Alright, so we can still lethal here.
Yes, yes, again!
And we're just gonna have to discard whatever we draw with the Spinning Axe. Decisive Maneuver, whatever blocks the Ballista.
I'm absolutely parched.
I'm gonna gut you.
Lendia needs you to pay up.
Uh-oh, he's pausing. That can't be good.
You made choices.
I'll cut my name into you.
Okay. I'm assuming he doesn't have a way to deal with this, right? If he's just putting the most health he has in front of the Ballista. Doesn't like super matter. We're 100% all in on this play.
You die.
Okay.
I am reborn of salt and brine.
Oh gosh, how scared? How scared do we need to be here? I think we're okay. Right? He would have just played cards if he had cards. Here comes the make it rain, of course, but we got it. Whew, okay. Jeez. I'm so worried about that. Such a like brutal set of cards to go into 2 games in a row. It's like these Bilgewater things are so out of favor now between like the Make It Rain decks and having a lot of ways to just like AoE 1 damage. This was something that was extremely powerful and popular in the Rising Tides, but really fell out of favor with the addition of all the Targon cards. And so I'm glad that we survived those 2 games, because that was an incredible bout of variance to have to play against those things twice in a row and have them both nab our Nox and guillotines. It's fucking absurd. But we survived it. It's so interesting. I'm kind of like up in the air in the Trifarian Assessor. We've been getting to these late games where we're really running out of cards at the end of the game. But I think we should hang on to this. I think it feels like 3 Iron Ballistas is enough. I don't know like the maximum number of this I would play. Like when we think of something like Mystic Shot, I would play like 12 Mystic Shots and be reasonably happy about it. Wouldn't play 12 Iron Ballistas. It feels like 4 is kind of the cap and 3 is probably about where we want to be. Especially considering we're planning on playing 3 Dravens. So I think that's a reasonable skip. Whew. Man, this is such a brutal set of games. I'm so glad we survived that. But it's like, come on, like of all the random cards you could hit. Just trying to streamer curse me right out of this bitch. Not today, not today. I'm gonna say we need what we got here. That's probably pretty reasonable. Look for a 2. And then if we don't hit it, that's still okay. Beautiful. I'm out here in the American Midwest. If you're not familiar with the weather patterns these days, I believe the high temperature today was 1 degree, and it's been hovering around like -4. And these are freedom units. This isn't Celsius, and so it's super cold out here. And so I was trying to say, man, I can't be spending all of the salt on the Runeterra games. We need all the salt on the roads. Let everyone get around safely in the snow. Okay, I don't feel a reason to not open here. I'm actually kind of tempted to play the Reckless Trifarian. There's not a lot of big units that they can play in these Zoe decks. I would really, it looks like he's stacked on Aphelios. I wouldn't be surprised if this was 2 and 2. Aphelios is not really a champion that I like to play 3 copies of. And so I'm trying to think if, we're thinking of him as being like a base Zoe deck. If he's wanting to do Nightfall things, he would want Targon, or he would want Shadow Isles. And so what all this is amounting to is there's just a lot of like card generating units within these decks. And so trying to think like if we just can like run these smaller units out safely, or if we just need to punch in this 5 damage. I think we could probably do this stuff safely. Like he's never going to want to block with Zoe. Like the probable like best play for him is like the 3/3 that puts the healing card in your hand. And even that is not good against what we just did here, right? He either has to trade it away with Runeweaver and get blasted, or let us get a value attack in with the Trifarian. Okay. Little to big, right? Oh, it's not going to matter. He's just going to gain 1 off of this. Okay. Good deal, good deal. Big chunk of damage. Then are we looking to open next turn? Because we can demolitionist our Trifarian, and then that doesn't line up very well. Okay.
No one's the wiser.
Premium Zoe looks weird. It looks normal when you pick it up, but it looks like she's like gray washed up here or something, like she's sitting in a shadow. Okay, you're free to attack. Could have waited to play this ballista, but he's never not attacking with this stuff. And we, okay, well he played his card. I was going to say we might have to just open here.
For the Empire.
Because if he hits something like a Crescent Strike, then that's very bad for us. But now we're just going to get this humongous wide attack in. Not a whole lot of good cards he could be invoking for 4 mana. Crescent Strike's kind of it. Okay.
I have the best job.
And this is one of these games where we're more likely to be discarding our Reforges to Spinning Axes, but it's good to at least have something that we can be discarding to those.
Their foundations.
Cut him down.
Can't lethal here, but unless he, this should force him to block with Zoe. He can put, some kind of value block down here on our weaker units, but this is going to be pretty painful for him. Surprised he's letting us keep our Overwhelm unit. Okay. Doesn't block with Zoe. Takes him to 3, loses all of his units. Okay. This is what I expected more of these attacks to be looking like, in the sense that when we traded out the Overwhelm Ogre, or whatever he's called. I was expecting more of these things where we're fully wide and getting some kind of bonus out of it. It's okay. He's probably gonna have to. He has to look for the like silence again. He needs to silence this big guy. He needs a lot to go right. We've got quite a bit of aggression coming in here, and he doesn't have any units. So. Okay, not bad, not bad. Zoe's probably getting real close to flipping, yeah. But we're at least in the spot to where, he doesn't... She's not that effective when he doesn't have a full board.
This'll shake 'em. Clear it out.
That was +2 attack, right? Hang on, do we want to... Let's do this. See if we hit Overwhelm. Did.
Blast 'em.
Axes coming right up.
Everything's in place. Behind ya.
Alright. See how that plays out. He can block both of our 4s and then still take 11. Okay. That's not enough. He still needs the +2 heal as well.
Time for the moneymakers.
Okay, good game, friend. Let's pick up this 3rd Draven.
All me. And maybe those other guys. Whatever.
Okay, with a Brutal Hunter, Savage Reckoner. Works for me. That's who we're taking here. We're stacking up our 3 Dravens. It's too good with the flip having flip be a removal spell. Easy game. Alright. Alright. It's been much closer than I'd like, but certainly got some tight games in here. This one's probably a struggle. Ending touch with an Aphelios in it. Nox and Guillotine's probably really good here, but if this was a hand with like a 1-drop and a 2-drop, or like a Draven's Biggest Fan and or something, like we could keep it, but we have to find 1s and 2s against this deck. We're just gonna have to deal a ton of damage against this.
Is he here yet? Oh, man. Yeah, I'm out of play.
Because I mean, they tend to have. It depends on what their removal suite or their healing suite looks like. But if it's a bunch of, oh, what are they called? The things that heal face, the star shaping and the 2-cost thing that heals 2, that's kind of a problem. If it's the, if it's more so based on like astral healing, astral protection, whatever it's called, then it can turn out a little bit better for us. This should be a pretty safe space. We're gonna have pretty powerful units attacking with 2 weapon hilts in hand. Star Spring is not how you want to be starting off against these aggro Draven decks, but we also couldn't curve, so this will be a lot more powerful if we had a 2-drop in here.
Who's on top of the bounty board today?
Let's do this.
It's gonna take this. It's kind of awkward, but I don't think we really want to be spending a weapon hilt like right now. I mean, this keeps us from playing Demolitionist on our Draven as well. You can just hook him for 2 damage. Doesn't mean he can't just play like a 3/3 or something here, but
There's always like an 8-punch Pablo.
Alright, well, I'm just gonna let this happen. I'm gonna guillotine this thing down because it's gonna hook our Draven. Can heal out of this, right? If he has an astral healing or whatever. That's as good as we can do right there.
Remember the
We're still good to get some units down. We can get this guy going. We can get our Brutal Hunter going next turn, and then we'll have the 5 real mana next turn, 1 banked, so we can also weapon hilt something should we need to. Okay. Glad to see that happening now as opposed to later, just at least playing a little bit better with how much damage we have to do.
I always catch my prey.
I am here to help.
This is awesome!
Let's boogie.
Try to run.
Okay. I want to do it like this. It's like I think there's a good chance that he just has one of those healing cards. I guess he doesn't if he's throwing Soraka down here, but I think this is okay. Then the big question now is like, do we want to level up this Draven? I'm kind of okay with like playing a weapon hilt, discarding 1 Reckoner, but I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is okay. Let's just get this damage in now. You shouldn't be able to do anything to our Draven.
Now we're cooking.
And just go all in on the damage. We're never going to beat this guy at a value game, right? But if we get this humongous chunk damage in, this will take him to 6. Then we can maybe kill him with Savage Reckoners. Draven! Right, and we have to draw a card we can play here, right? Well, I guess Reckoning wouldn't count, but given our mana situation. But no, this looks pretty good, right? If he wants to use Soraka, he has to play a unit. We can throw the Tusk Raider down, which can just straight up block and kill Soraka. These units aren't big enough to come in and kill our Draven. I think this looks pretty good for us. Whew, knew I was gonna sneeze. This is still a reasonable block. It'd be kind of brutal if he has a. Oh, I forgot he still gets challenged. Oops, that's fine. I was planning on just blocking her with the elephant, but I was like, this is brutal if he has a Pale Cascade. But
Draven out?
this is okay. It's tough for him to play a unit that has more health than Savage Reckoner, so I think this is better than just an open attack. Look like
Strike at
this.
their foundations.
Put you down on the end. Like this, this.
You are my prey. Try to run.
Something like this.
Fear not death.
Can only hit from 2 additional damage in hand should we need to do something like that.
Must we fight?
But I mean, if he can star shaping out of this and we kill his Soraka, that's still pretty good for us. Doesn't, I mean, we wouldn't be lethal, but just annihilated his board and still have some big boys, still have another Reckoner for next turn. Pretty good. Okay. All right. I think we should probably be able to close this out next turn.
Few earn the right to call themselves Trifarian.
This is fine, even if he has a play to get out of this calling strike, like another Blessing of Targon, then we still have a 12 damage that we can send in next turn. Right, we're gonna hook this thing way down on the right, and then a ton of damage for him to have to answer. Okay. Nowhere near going deep.
Blast 'em.
I'll show you how it's done.
Suffer! You are my prey.
Where are we at now? Neg 5? I think he's got that double star shaping. I lost track of how many he's played. I think he's played at least 2, right? So 2 of these cards in his hand. No, he just played 1. One of these cards in here is a non-relevant Celestial. Okay. Alright, good deal. That might have been a little greedy. There's probably a good chance we should have just played Savage Reckoner, but I kind of like the idea of, it's okay if he plays a combat trick on his units, and that means he can't play any more cards. So, interesting. Okay, and then I guess we're going to find out how much we like 4 Iron Ballistas. I really only want one Nox and Guillotine. We have still have the 1 Guillotine, the 1 Scorched Earth. Did we trade the Scorched Earth away? Looks like we did. Nonetheless, I still just want 1 Guillotine. Just too awkward in multiples. An Iron Ballista is a pretty useful unit to be picking up. Right. Getting ever so closer to having all those good Noxus Overwhelms. We had some Basilisk Riders, but 4 Chariots, 2 Armored Elephants, 2 Savage Reckoners. It's a pretty good set of cards to be closing out games with. It's weird. It keeps trying to get me to trade away all our Reforges, though, as opposed to keeping them. That's the thing that's strange to me in all these trades. It seems like it's always trying to get us to get rid of one of our Reforges. It's like, absolutely not. Gonna start with the Saboteur. It does more damage. If he's gonna play a Teemo here, he's never blocking anyway, so we want to get this extra one in.
2, 3, 4. I'll scout ahead. Adventure starts with mushrooms.
Words of power linger in the air.
Is that overwhelm? It's tough for him to play units that matters. He's going to play a 2/2 here. The thing I was curious about for next turn is if we want to open or play Blade Squire, probably just have to open. He never wants to be blocking with Puffcat Peddler, but probably has to do it against our deck. Alright, Draven's a different story. Perfect draw. Doesn't let us trade the Saboteur for a Peddler if it comes down to it. Gotcha. Okay. Oh no, we should have saved him. We should have saved him with survival skills. I completely let that slip past. I just always assumes that he dies. Oh, that would have been brutal. We would have just smashed this game so quickly if we'd protected our Draven. Damn. We're still in a pretty good spot. I mean, we've completely nullified all of his aggression, but man, this game would be so over if we'd saved our Draven.
I'm cold, I'm hungry, and there's rocks in me boots.
Oh, if
Okay.
mushrooms could talk.
I'll have what he's having.
Oh man, this game would be so over.
Will have blood.
Dang.
Been down in the sump, haven't you?
Maybe we'll get the protection here. He's got another card to try to take down our hunter.
Ooh, quite a collection.
I've always been a fun guy.
We want to just go ahead and do this. Go ahead and play the Might, so that we can spend a bunch of mana next turn on a bunch of spells. It's tough for it to be better than this. I like it. No, maybe he'll play as Get Excited and we'll just absolutely smash here.
Too cute to go.
Heard there was a little fella asking for me.
It starts to get slightly awkward since our stronger unit will be the Hopeful as soon as we play it. I mean, we can slow play a survival skills next turn if we want. I don't think so.
For the Empire.
What are the chances that this is a Mystic Shot? So we can go big here. We can give this thing +2 attack and overwhelm. Sucks so hard if his card is Mystic Shot.
To serve the greater good.
Let's see, maybe he'll spend it. Maybe he'll spend it out here.
Yodel in uniform.
Its power courses through me.
Chase them down.
It's my time.
You are my prey.
See if we can get those damages in there. Get this Riven Sword going next turn.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
Oh no. What are these? Oh, these are mushroom clouds. Okay. Oh no, so no's. Not a mystic shot. Oh, to slow it. Oh, come on. Okay. Damn. How many has that been? Has that been 4?
Run while you can.
3 mystic shots. Well, I mean, we're still in a pretty decent spot if we can draw some units. There's decent unit number 1.
I have the best job.
I mean, I guess it's better now than before we drop a Riven Sword on something, but...
How can I help?
Did we kill through that?
That's a good one.
No. We're only gonna have 6 here. Yep. Get in there, friend. All right, but I mean, he's got a pretty big mountain to climb here, as far as damage is concerned. So,
Sure, boss.
Riven's 1. That's extremely good for us. We should only be taking like 5 or 6 from puff caps. I don't really want to block this thing. Okay. I will block it with Draven's biggest fan, though. Nope.
It's Draven time.
Alright, this is just a very clear open attack. Even survive atrocity now, that's good.
Yeah, I'm out of play.
Okay. We did make that big punt there. I have to imagine that game would have just been super over if we'd survival skills Dark Draven. But phew, we got there. Got there in the end. It's just so much more powerful when you're able to not have to like do that defensively. You're able to prevent the Draven. If we get that extra damage out of the Draven, force a block with him or something. We still got a good survival skills that game. It just kind of sucks to have to play it on your opponent's turn. Nonetheless, with this, this is our one guillotine. We want to hang on to it, keeping our survival skills, keeping our calling strike. So this is a pretty easy set of skips. Okay, the pre-final battle. Yeah. What up, Josh? Alright. That's not a keeper. Better. These are kind of frightening. I worry about a base Ash deck with something that's trying to play a bunch of Rivens. So this should be safe.
Explosives primed.
It's tough for him to play a unit that can trade here. I was going to say he can play like an Ice Veil Archer, but that can't completely stop the attack. And then if he wants to trade, then that's very good for us. If this gets Brittle Steel, also very good. Kind of feels like he has a Brittle Steel, but... Okay. Try to deal with this next turn. We're going to invest 2 cards into this thing. It's going to suck if he has a Brittle Steel, but still a humongous chunk of damage if he doesn't. And if he plays something that, the Brutal Hunter can hook, like if he wants to play an Ash here. Ooh, interesting. Alright, we're still going for it.
This'll shake 'em. Try to run.
Behind ya.
If it's a fight they want,
Mm-hmm.
Feed Demacia.
Okay. The only worry here is Ash. Ash works pretty well against the Reckoning. Can't block. Biggest dude we have.
I'd never keep my guests waiting.
there is truth in blood.
It's a big boy. I think we're quite there yet. We have a lot of power in our hand. So if this is Harsh Winds, how bad can it be? Say we attack with everything because we don't care about Vladimir. He blocks with the Stormclaw. He gets some damage on one. I'm not a huge fan of how that sounds. This completely feels like a Harsh Winds that he's upset about playing on one unit. Okay.
Break the strong, slaughter the weak.
Winter take you.
Is it too greedy? Look at this block. This block here. Yeah, the idea is if we want to get some of this going. Oh, it's just a thing like, what if we play the Reckoning and it's like we think he has Harsh Winds and he just kills all of our own units? I don't think we can play the Reckoning for quite a while. It's just how greedy do we want to get this turn? Can we play the Tusk Raider? Or do we have to like Hopeful Assessor? I think we just want a Tusk Raider here and then Hopeful Assessor next turn.
War eternal.
Set it all ablaze.
No one goes hungry.
Not quite lethal. Nowhere near flipping.
My sweet little plaything.
Something like this, go to 3. It's kind of scary. I don't want to be blocking the Reaver. I'll risk it. If he has the Fury of the North or a back-to-back or something, that's okay. Harsh Winds, yep. Alright, so we've got the Harsh Winds out of the way. maybe we're lined up to play a Reckoning now. See if we can't take him to the bait shop. Well,
My aim is true.
alright, I guess at least the big thing here is he doesn't have 6 mana anymore.
I will unite the Freljord.
Okay. So how bad is this if we attack with everything? This is going to get a kill on whatever it blocks. Everything else will kill back on Ash. I think Ash is the important one to kill here. And this thing, of course, can just never block. So let's say we attack. He ignores our Tusk Raider, falls to 7, uses Earth Sign to kill like a Vladimir, uses this thing to kill our Hopeful, and then he still just has an Ash. Don't like it. I don't like it. We're in a pretty bad spot here. Really? Then say next turn he's just going to play Ash card onto Tusk Raider, and then we're just not going to be able to block with anything. We're dead. Maybe we should have just attacked with everything and hoped that he fucked up.
Let fly.
We got too low health down here. good enough. It sucks to be in that spot. I guess that's probably what we should have done. To know you can't win the game unless your opponent messes up and just to go for it. But I think I'm okay with this. I don't like this Assessor in our deck. This was like the first opportunity it had to be good. And I just didn't even really want it. I think I would have been happier just having a Savage Reckoner there. So I do like picking up this interactive unit. It's our third one. That's fine. Oh, that's tough. It's tough there. It was so easy for us to just kind of like pick out the super easy blocks that just like guarantees we're dead. So no. If we could have made like an attack that required him to get Ash involved, then maybe it would have been worthwhile. But I don't know. We also didn't have anything we could really draw there, so it was kind of rough. All right. Anywho. Let's hang on to Draven, look for some ones. Found it. Trundle, Misfortune, Gangplank. Weird, it's like a raiding party deck, but it doesn't have... it's just like Gangplank raiding party, but no Sejuanis or anything.
If they don't break, they'll burn.
Gotta get on board. This is not a good draw for our deck.
There's always fighting 8-punch Pablo. Oh, you're a wee numpty.
Works for me. Love seeing his interactive elements go away right before we play Draven. How bad is this if he has Trundle? We can still weapon hilt through this if he plays Trundle here. So this is fine. I guess Trundle plus Brittle Steel, then we're really hosed, but this is okay. I'm playing 2 Trundles, right? Oh, just full on ramping it.
Do this.
Get him for 7. Alright, we gotta get wider than him stat. We really need to draw a 2-drop here. Can kind of like deal with this if he's just playing 1 unit, but if he starts to add 2 units, it's like our 1 unit is never as good as his 1 unit. Like whatever 7-drop he plays is just gonna be better than Vladimir. Wow. Cannot say that I expected to see that. Is there a world where he passes? Probably not. He's thinking about it now. And Alpha Wild Claw. Can we play this? It's so suspect if we don't play anything. Let's add it. I really want to flip our Draven here, which we can't do if we have to weapon hilt. But unlike the flip side, we can just replay the other Draven. Just feels reasonable. What's this take us to? 11? Oh, we can't replay the Draven.
What are you waiting for?
Interesting. Because oftentimes you just want to block here, but we can make Whirling Death plays to where we can actually get the remainder of the damage in. 3, 4, 5, 6 mana next turn. Okay, we'll take it.
Draven down.
Let's be efficient with our manas here. Get rid of this thing. It's going to be tough for us to get another guillotine down. We're just going to kill everything in combat.
victory has arrived.
Here comes the Usgar. I guess Usgar is a card that we could have killed with Guillotine, but... Ooh, why? It doesn't do anything. I think he was trying to draw a unit there, and he didn't realize he wasn't plundered. Is there a world where he just doesn't have any units in his hand, or like his best unit's like a 3/3? Could be the case.
Remember the objectives.
Alright, well, we can smash into this.
The few for the many. Clear it out.
Let's see how this goes. We can also just technically lethal this guy here.
Bold, aren't you?
So let's try it like this. Let's start with this. Also want a Whirling Axe down here. And then I think I want to just Whirling Axe our Draven, just in case. I'm okay with just discarding Vladimir. So if he does have a Brittle Steel here, I want to be taking his Reaver off of the board. We can never just like kill him with these spinning axes if he has a Brittle Steel, so I want our Draven to survive in that case. Cool, cool.
And I thought I was already perfect.
Got him. Alrighty, alrighty. Good in that final battle.
Damn, I'm good.
Things make me worried. A lot going on in these games. So much just going all in, hoping for the best. Okay, okay. I don't want to trade out our Tusk Raiders. Rear Guard is not an upgrade over Saboteur, so the question comes down to we want to pick up these Demolitionists, and just like not really. We have so few units that can survive one of these that I really want like 2-drops, and he just doesn't really count. He kills all of our 1-drops, kills part of our 2-drops. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of Reckless Trifarian, but Demolitionist is not a card I want to be picking up here. Okay, and I think I am okay with this. Just in general, in the general sense, Iron Ballista is so much better than Saboteur, but we have 3. This will take us down to 3, and so I think I'm okay with that. I think it's just super important going into this last game to try our very best to just be able to hit 1-drops. Oh, Darius, super. Vladimir is no good in our deck. Okay, then I think I'm good on our counts here. We have 2 Savage Reckoners. We could technically get rid of 1 since we just picked up Darius, but I don't want to pick up a 4th Brutal Hunter. So I think that's an easy skip. We're never trading our 1 Guillotine, and Wrathful Rider is not a card we want. Okay, and our last one, let's just take the 1-drop. It sucks to trade out the removal spells, but I think it's just more important to be able to hit things on curve here. All right. Let's let the battle begin. I forget where that was, if it was after like the 1-win match where we had to play all of the Bilgewater decks and just enter the Salt mode. I'm glad that we recovered from that and were able to make it to the final battle. Oh, man, that was... I don't like getting salty in these videos, but sometimes it creeps up in me. And the Teemo. I'm curious on how I think of this. The way it has Ionia in it, so I'm curious if he started out with like Karma. That's how you tend to find these, and then like traded away a Karma. Interesting. Let's just hard mulligan for the 1. If we're just going to be in like a super aggro game against Teemo, let's go for it. Awkwards. But no, the big thing I wanted to call this out for is the Total Recall Teemo doesn't have Mystic Shots in it. So it's a big card to play around. If you're playing against what appears to be a Shroom and Boom Teemo, they could have 3, 4, 5, 6 Mystic Shots, but against a Total Recall Teemo, they probably just have like 1. And here, the exact reason I didn't want demolitionists, it has presented itself.
What did you find today?
Okay. We could have arguably
Who's it?
played our demolitionist into this board, but I think it was
More for my
super
collection.
necessary.
Armed and ready. More
Okay,
mushrooms.
so we're gonna have to try to deal with this Teemo before he gets a flipped hit in. So we're gonna have to try to take him down with the Brutal Hunter next turn.
To serve the greater good.
No. Okay. At least he can't add to the board here.
They never see it coming.
Oh, it's off to the races, boys. That seems good for us. I did not expect to block onto our ballista. Okay. Man, this how different this game would have been if we were able to get our demolitionist in for damage and then play a flipped Darius next turn.
Did you hold this?
I guess we can still try to flip him. We can lead with the demolitionist, follow with Blade Squire. We'll be banked on mana,
That was mud.
so we have an opportunity to get him flipped here.
Mine is the hand of Noxus.
Your command, General Darius.
Your command, General Darius.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
I'll have what he's having.
Because he never blocks with Teemo, right? I guess he could have a second Teemo in his hand to where he'd be kind of interested in blocking with him, but
Strength above all.
I think this is lethal. Nope, close. Good chance he has a removal spell here, though. He has 5 mana. It's easy to have like gotchas and stuff into the spot. But, so it's worth it. Let's get some more Overwhelm on the board. We're in a pretty good spot here. We aren't like super hit on the puff caps. We should maybe take like 4 or 5 damage. We aren't drawing a shitload of cards, though. Ooh, and a decisive maneuvers.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
I'll have what he's
Okay.
having.
He can follow up with the Teemo here, but if we're able to prevent this huge chunk of damage, that's so huge for us. Okay.
Only the strong survive.
And how do we feel about banking? Where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4. I wish there was an easier way to see this mana. We're going to have 8, a total of 9 mana next turn. And then our intent is just to, if we want to make like a decisive maneuver play. I don't think that matters.
To serve the great.
So let's just go for width. Four. So if we want, is this Overwhelm? It is. Let's try this.
I'll show the hunters.
We're dead. Yep, that's gonna do it. Only get in for 4 damages now, or 6 in total, but damn. All right, good game print. We could have definitely played that late game a little differently. I I'm happy with the Reckoning. I don't think we would have survived if we took another Teemo hit, but we could have tried to do that a little better, assuming he had, you know, a Will of Ionia or a Homecoming or a Concussive Palm for Ardarius. Nonetheless, this came together pretty well. You know, like realistically, what that game comes down to was, at least in my opinion, was we drew the Demolitionist on 2 and couldn't play it. You know, if that was against those Teemo decks, we're typically in just such like a humongous race that, you know, it's basically whoever stumbles is going to lose. And, you know, that guy was able to go, you know, Teemo 2-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and we were 1-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. And so we just kind of fell flat. We had to play defensively with the Reckoning. And so his deck came out much better than ours. But nonetheless, I'm still pretty happy with what we got together here. You know, we finally got kind of close to having 7 or 8 1-drops. You know, it's not that's, you know, one of the kind of the big deals that I think we really wanted here is we have to be making a big early game aggressive curve out of our 1s and 2s and 3s. And so we, you know, kind of started out a little bit light on it, but then we got into a pretty good groove with how we want our deck to look. And so, and I'm pretty happy with how we picked up the very specific sets of cards. And so, you know, the big thing that is good and strong with this, the Scrapheap Draven are the 1-drops. There's an extremely good set of 1-drops that has all of the good Noxus 1-drops. And then it has the, you know, Greenweaver at 2. And it's just got the complete Reforge package in it. And so, you know, how do we want to complement something that has a whole lot of good 1-drops and then the 2 best 3-drops, right? We have Iron Ballista and Draven. We were able to do that pretty well with the Vladimir. Vladimir was hot garbage in this deck. There's no denying it. But, you know, he does have access to this package of Demolitionist, Legion Grenadier. We don't see it here, but the Crimson Disciple also lives there. And so just a fantastic package of 2-drops here. And, you know, this is like super close to being a really good deck, right? We have a lot of really good 1s, a lot of really good 2s, a lot of really good 3s. You know, what do we want to complement with that? Just the late game overwhelms. And so we picked up 2 Tusk Raiders and 2 Savage Reckoners. Eventually got a Darius, but you know, it's very beautiful at that point. Things are looking extremely good. What else do you want to, you know, kind of combine with that? You got to have a little bit of interaction. And so, you know, we did pick up some weapon hilts. We got our 1 guillotine. We had a calling strike, but we traded it away right at the end. Ideally, we would have another whirling death or 2. We could trade out, you know, say like a decisive maneuvers and a reckoning for kind of the whirling deathy style of removal spells. But, you know, other than that, I think this deck is pretty spot on as what you're looking for with a aggressive Noxus deck. And so it's looking pretty good here. And so hopefully it was, you know, you're able to kind of pick up on the things that were good here. You know, just really in general, the kind of strategies that we're looking for with the Reforges. In my opinion, just Reforge on its own isn't good enough. You know, you don't really want to be going all in on the sword on the 4th turn and having that be your strategy. I say you need to be doing Reforge and so like what's our and gonna be? In a lot of decks, you know, it's Augment, and a lot of decks it's Taric, and a lot of decks, oh shit, I pushed a button. Did our deck go away? Oh man, there it is, it's back. And a lot of decks, you know, it's say Puffcat Peddler, and in our deck here it's Spinning Axe, and so that's fine. You know, if we're able to have the and in Draven, then that's perfectly acceptable. And so, you know, we're all on board with the early game aggression with the Reforges. We found our and factor with Draven. We figured out, you know, where our deck was strong. You know, with Draven, it was strong in the 1s and the 3s. With the Vladimir, it's strong in the 2s. You know, it's very easy to get the good Noxus late game. And then at that point, you know, it's like you know where your curve looks good. You know where your power spikes are. You have an incredibly strong 1, 2, and 3. You have some kind of interactive stuff with these Reforges to kind of play in the mid game and then close out with overwhelms. You know, that sounds like a very strong and fantastic strategy. All you got to do from that point forward is just kind of fill in the gaps with some removal spells. You don't really want to be, you don't want to be going home without any removal spells, and so we picked up a handful here. I feel like this is pretty straightforward and pretty elementary trial, but this is a good. A lot of, you know, kind of like key concepts here, especially if you're fairly new to Expedition on, you know, how to pair together a champion to work well with another one. I think this is a it would have been very easy to just not want this Vladimir because we knew we weren't going to be using this Vladimir strategy, but a lot of the cards that live in Vladimir complement this Draven perfectly. Just rather it would have been a Swain, right? But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. Don't know if there's going to be any rewards in here. Looks like there is not, so that is going to do it. I hope you all, managed to learn how to reforge your spinning axes just a little bit better. You maybe enjoyed watching and learned a thing or two along the way. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.